Welcome back to another show. Do what you love what you do. I'm your host, Jacob Crane. Just super excited about this show today. One of my good friends, 15 plus years of friendship. The entrepreneurship bug finally hit him, and he's on that journey. He turned in his 2 week notice. He will not be returning to the school system. He started his company, Good Counsel. Go look him up. Good Counsel on IG, Facebook. His name is Daniel Brooks. He's going to share with you his ups and downs. He's going through a lot. And he based his company based on his passion, right? And we always talk about do what you love and love what you do. So he is utilizing his passion to impact the world. And I'm super excited to have him on the show today. So sit back, relax, listen, take notes, and share the podcast. Go ahead and hit him up on Instagram and tell us what you like about the show. And hit him up, ask questions. And here we go. Hey guys, what's going on? Super excited to be with you today. I hope everybody's having a blessed day. Today really means a lot to me. I have a good friend, over 15 years of friendship on the show today. Our viewers and our listeners, do what you love and love what you do podcast and our YouTube channel, Dream Chaser Academy. And guys, we're just doing this to help you and just to share stories. We're on a series of podcasts and shows. We're talking to new entrepreneurs, old entrepreneurs, business owners, and we're just here to. They just here to share their story with you, and hopefully you guys can get something from it. So, with no further more introduction, my great friend, Mr. Daniel Brooks, man, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, Jake? How you doing, man? Doing good, bro.
Man, I'm blessed, man. Hey, so look. Man, you've been all over the place, man. You was a star quarterback, Franklin County. That's when I first met you, freshman year, across the hall from me. Then you went to sitting on the bench and had 4 years, the snapper. The only person I know who get a full scholarship, for being a bench warmer and catching the football for field goal holder. And then you had your time to shine and threw a pick six on a fake field goal.
Don't be telling too much of my business. Yes, that did happen. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And hey, man, and then from there, you graduated, and then me and our other brother, we decided that education was going to be the way.
That's it.
And you didn't want that. You say,
no.
You're like the prodigal son. Hey, give me my paper.
Yes.
Go down to Atlanta.
That's it.
And I'm gonna go be a club promoter.
That's it.
And live
complete
the
opposite.
Lifestyle and just live life. And before we know it, you end up. Next thing you know it, you get married.
That's it.
And then you go get your master's.
There's a lot in between there. Yeah.
Huh?
I said there's a lot in between there, but I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot in between that I kept fussing you about. That didn't help you at all.
You're right.
But other than that, man, we here now. And so who is, man, for real, man, for our listeners and our viewers, who is Mr. Daniel Brooks?
Well, I appreciate the update. I guess to start, currently I'm a husband, a friend, an uncle, a son. I help people, but all of that was derived from my humble beginnings. I grew up in a small town, Franklin County, or Rocky Mount, just to be specific. Had a pretty, I guess rough or challenging start to life, but had amazing grandparents who raised me in the church. Kind of gave me that great foundation of faith, even though at the time I didn't realize the benefit of it. I'm really only good at helping people. I've had a lot of talents or lack of talents that I kind of chased, and I really focused on kind of who I am as this man who was called to just be a blessing and to help others. As you so eloquently put, football and things of that nature was just the vehicle that got me to this point, even though the goal was NFL and things of that nature. But, you never know what you go through and how it's going to benefit you until you've gone through it. So all of those crazy situations from college to riding the bench, throwing that pick has really molded me into the man I am today. That kind of got me to this place that I'm in.
Man, that's awesome, man. And I know that, and just very proud of you and the things that you've been able to accomplish. But hey, man, all I'm gonna ask you is what took you so long, bro? What took you so long? You've been watching me, you've been with me, I've been on y'all. Get your stuff, run your own, leave a legacy, start your own business. I don't care what it was in. Start your own business. Ever since you met me, you know my hustle, you know my grind. What took you so long, bro?
Wow, it's kind of like that aha moment that I think is so important for every one of us. Some people have it sooner, some people have it later, but it's just the point of whether you're going to answer that aha moment and you're going to answer that call. So it was just one of those things where things had to fall into place, and if it would have happened sooner, then I don't think I would have been able to handle it. I don't think I would have been prepared for it. I knew there were certain situations that make us unique for whatever we're called to do. So that's kind of where I am now. Is I feel as if this season that I'm in, after everything I've kind of gone through, is kind of prepared me for this moment, and it's just time to go. And it's just time to take that step and kind of see what this life is about that you've been preaching and talking about for so long. But it's always what's best for me and what's best for you as an individual when that time comes. Think about it. You guys left to go to education route, get your master's. I went a completely different way. So it's really just kind of what worked best for me and kind of where I'm at. I thank God I get this opportunity to be here now.
Yeah, man. For those who don't know what we're talking about, Mr. Brooks, Daniel, has decided to leave his job at the end of this school year, and he is the founder and the CEO of Good Counsel LLC out there in Virginia. And he's on it, man. He has a vision. He shared it with me a couple of months ago, and all I can say was, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Let's go get it. What you need for me to do.
That's it.
Well, no questions asked. Say less. So we're gonna dive right into it, man. So I got a really good question for you. I got some questions set up for you for our listeners. Some people in the same shoes that you. Really just still finding themselves, trying to figure out what they want, and that aha moment. Back up to that aha moment. When did that happen? Do you remember exactly? What that aha moment was for you?
So my wife and I each year, we've developed, a word that kind of sets the tone for our year. Year after year, we've done it since we've been married, and it's kind of come to fruition. Last year was one of the tougher ones. We had the year of alignment, and we'll talk about that. I'm pretty sure in a few minutes. But that year was alignment, and then this year was assignment. So with our word this year, kind of gauged us and kind of opened up our hearts to all that the universe, God, has for us, and kind of what we're going to walk into. So with everything that happened last year, it kind of got me to this place where I got tired of life happening to me. I wanted to kind of take control of my life and kind of see what I could make happen through this life and this amazing life I was given. So it kind of happened January 1st this year. I wish I could say it's been this thing that's kind of been boiling for a long time. No, I was the one who was kind of set. I was going to work this job until I retire. I was going to, be here for the next 30 years and doing what I was doing. But this vision, as you spoke of, kind of dropped into my lap. And I just felt this urge that it was time to go get it. I've been waiting long enough. I've been praying for this opportunity for far too long, that I've been searching all over and kind of thought was coming in different arenas, but it's been here the whole time. So what started as Good Counsel, back last year is just an idea to open up my own private practice, has now grown into this huge vision and this huge opportunity to kind of impact the world in so many ways. So yeah, it was just January 1st. It kind of came and it all dropped in my lap.
So look, real quick. So how do you prepare going to work each day, knowing that you already turned in your 2 weeks notice? Like,
man,
what's that like?
that's been the hardest thing, and the reason I turned it into 2 weeks notice was, like I said, January 1st kind of dropped in my lap. Everybody said I was going to work through the end of the school year anyway, but it was kind of placed on my spirit to step out on faith even more. Don't give myself any room to be able to come back. I had to kind of burn the bridges behind me, so to speak. So I turned in my resignation, and since then it's just been um, this opportunity for me to. Uh, get back to work, so to speak, eat, and not to get too biblical, but I always got to use those biblical principles
Yeah, you
because
always
yeah,
do.
when David was called to be a king, David wasn't called when he was already in the kingdom. David was called when he was still tending to the sheep. So even when he was chosen out of his brothers to become the next king, he went back to work and he went back to tending to the sheep until that time came. So I see this as my opportunity to kind of get back to work and tending to the sheep and kind of honing my craft where I am already, with this idea and this possibility of everything I want to do. It's been hard, has not been easy because I have to, stop my brain from thinking about my dream for that 8 hours that I go to work. But yet and still, I'm still taking that opportunity to kind of see what I can learn from that day to day, and kind of looking forward to how I can utilize what I've gotten to put it towards what I'm about to do.
Yeah, man. So we always talk about is, I've been coaching all my life. I always
Mm-hmm.
tell my players and when I consult with new entrepreneurs like yourself and talk to small business owners when they make that final step, I always talk about being all in,
Mm-hmm.
right? I tell my players all the time, right? We're not going to win the championship. We're not going to win as many games as we want unless everybody on this team is all in, including
Mm-hmm.
myself. So, what does all in look like for you? I know you talked about burning the bridges behind you. I made
Uh-huh.
a joke the
Uh-huh.
other day to you. I was on the phone. I called you. You was already up 4:30, 5
That's it.
o'clock.
That's it.
I
That's
told
it.
you I felt that pressure. I felt
That's
that
it.
pressure from
That's
you.
it. Let's
And
go.
I got up this morning, worked out. It started raining on me.
Oh
I
Lord.
finished up. So now I finished up that mile. Now I'm gonna go back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
double
Yeah.
up. Go
Yeah.
do 2 more miles
That's
after
it.
we finish this session.
I
But
hear you. I hear you. I'm holding you to it.
I feel the pressure on you. So
Yes,
if
sir.
you all in, I know we've been competing all our lives against each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I feel you coming up that final stretch.
That's
We
it. That's
almost
it.
40, and
That's it.
we
That's it.
always talked about when we 40, we traveling the world, we doing
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
whatever the
Mm-hmm.
hell we want to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Most
money's
definitely.
not a problem.
That's it.
It's just a byproduct of all our hard work,
That's it.
and that work we put in. But
That's
what does
it.
all in look like to you?
For me, it's just I've been through too much to settle, and I refuse to believe that I've gone through everything I've gone through, and life has gotten to this point, and now it's time to watch Netflix and chill every day after working all day and giving myself and giving my talents away. So now it's just the point to a phrase that I've always had, but now it means so much. Is if you have to do it, why not be great at it? And
Right.
if I get this opportunity to kind of walk into this entrepreneurial life, or I see it as just the opportunity to just use my gifts, that God has given me on a day-to-day basis with creativity and creating these opportunities to other people. If I get the opportunity, then why not be great at it? And everything that I've done, I've been blessed with the favor to move up to the top, and I've been blessed with the favor to kind of tear down the previous walls, the barriers that other people have faced, in that time period, from being the first in my family to kind of go to college to doing all these different type of things. So now it's just I lived by that phrase and didn't realize it. So now why not incorporate that phrase into what I'm doing? So all in for me is just being great at what I've made this decision to kind of walk into. Will Smith said this great thing that has been told to him that I kind of also keep in the back of my mind, is that I decide before I ever start. So I've decided before I've even started of what I'm going to do. So now when I run and I'm on the treadmill and I'm doing some things, I decide in the moment, before I start, that I'm going to run this mile. And that means no matter if it starts raining, no matter if I
Mm-hmm.
start to hurt, no matter if my lungs are about to explode, that I've already decided that I'm going to finish this thing. So same thing with this entrepreneur race, as easy as it may sound, even with all this going on in the world, I've already made this decision that I'm going to do this. So no matter what happens, there's no decision in the moment that I have to make. So all in is just sticking with that decision and kind of and kind of moving forward
Right.
with everything that we got going on. So yeah, let's
So
be great
look,
at this thing.
so I had a question for you. I'm gonna pull up the list. Um, let's go ahead and talk about. Forget the questions. Let's go ahead and talk about good counsel.
Yeah.
You know, I know your whole life. You know, you went to school. You went to school. What did you psychology?
Yeah, psychology. Yep.
Yeah. So you know, that's always been intriguing. You remember how people think, how people act. Uh, and you was a quarterback.
That's
So
it.
being a quarterback, man, you got to know every position on the field. You've been a quarterback your whole life.
That's it.
So now you have to be a quarterback of a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
You have to be able to see things before it happens, right? And that's what you are sharing your knowledge and your background with, because you've probably been through a lot of different scenarios that you've seen it before, right? So you know, for our sports analogy people, right? You've seen that blitz already because you watch film on it. You've seen how that defender's going to line up. You see how that cornerback if it's coming, whether it's cover 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
So good counsel. Now you're the quarterback of your own company. The new entrepreneur is the title of the show. So why is mental health, man, important for me, someone like me? Why is mental health important for athletes? We see it all the time. It's becoming a trend. These athletes just losing it. When we say losing it, you know, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to use the correct medical terms, but to me, man, these guys are going nuts. You know, me and my wife had the conversation all the time. She says it's because they playing football. They get hit too much, you know. So, you know, and then all the CTE stuff comes out. And that stuff is real. But for somebody like me who hasn't got hit since 6th grade in football, you know, or somebody who's in a medical field or a pastor or a principal or a teacher, why is mental health important? Because those people lose it too.
So good counsel was derived and created from the idea that we all go through stuff. Every one of us have survived so much, but the harsh reality of it is we have normalized all of this stuff we've survived. Something that I've said since Good Counsel was created is that if I break my arm or break my toe, I'm going straight to a professional and I'm going to go to a professional doctor to get it fixed. I'm not calling my friend. I might tell you it happened, but I'm not expecting you to fix it. That's how I look at mental health, and that's how I look at so much stuff that we've gone through. And that's why I feel as if it's so important. And a lot of our athletes, they've had this goal and they've pushed through all of these terrible obstacles, and we on a day-to-day basis, we push through all these crazy things to get to where we are. And I call us the functioning unstable. That's just the word that I call us. You know, you have functioning alcoholics, you have functioning drug addicts. I call us the functioning unstable because we figured out and we've kind of set our goals and our visions on so many things, which is a good trait. But once we get there and once we've arrived, we've never dealt with what we've kind of gone through and what kind of made us who we are. So that's kind of where Good Counsel is. Our goal is to consult with people and with the community to kind of teach them the benefits of reaching out to mental health support and professionals in their area. So whether it's consulting with individuals of who might be the best fit, whether it's putting on events of people being able to interact with mental health workers, everything mental health. I'm not saying I'm the best mental health therapist or counselor, as that's my background, but I know the benefits of how great this thing is just from my own situations and kind of what I've gone through. This kind of helps me out. So
let's stop right there. You talk about your own situations, man. And you know me, you've been knowing for a while. Like, if I don't hear from you or hear my close circle, we hold each other accountable. So if you ain't doing what you're supposed to do, be like, look, yo, get your. We got listeners, and get your stuff together. Get your stuff together. Get your mind right. Take it up. But you know, I was quickly reminded that people like us, we handle certain situations differently, right? And so, you know, you were raised in a different background than me. I was raised with two parents. All four of my grandparents was blessed to have that family aspect. of what it meant to be loved. Just being around good men, women, just good examples, right? Kept me away from some stuff that they might have grew up with, right? So now, recently, man, just share a little bit. I know it's coming out in your book. You were in a dark place, a very dark place. And can you just share with us of how you got through that? Did you go seek counseling?
Yeah.
Or was this that sparked your interest? Like, hey, someone like me might need some mental health and don't want to admit it. So share that story with our listeners and our viewers and what that looks like.
Yeah, so another piece of good counsel is who helps the helper. And that kind of came last year. As I said, my wife and I, our words, each year we have a word, and it's been scary. And the book that Jake is kind of alluding to is going to be called Prayer Advisory, because we've realized that we pray for certain things and we don't understand all the ramifications that kind of come with that prayer. So I say pray at your own risk. So last year our word that we prayed over was alignment. And if anyone knows about alignment, it's the breaking down and the changing and the shifting of something to get it into alignment with where it's supposed to be. So last year we prayed that prayer at midnight while we were at church. God, align us into the right path and into your will. And at 12:15 that New Year's morning, we spoke to my wife's mother, my mother-in-law, and said, "Happy New Year! Everything was great." And then no sooner than the next day, we found out that her mom has passed away unexpectedly, tragically, on that January 1st. So life in 2019 started, even worse than this year's kind of starting with everything that's going on. So from that moment, alignment started. And back then we didn't know. It was like, why is this happening? So some of the hardest things I've dealt with as an adult started to happen. How do I surround my wife with love? How do I be that person? I do counseling and I've helped people every day, but how do I help my wife? And then fast forward, we're kind of working through that. June comes around, and my grandfather, who was my last parent, who raised me, was still living after my grandmother passed away a few years ago. He gets diagnosed with lung cancer in June. And I was the one optimistic, granddaddy is going to be okay. Let's go get this treatment. Let's get this surgery. Let's do all of that. To our dismay, and to unfortunately pass away a few months later in October from complications from lung cancer. And then to finish out the year in December with two more of my wife's uncles passing away, some just family distrust and issues that kind of arose, all type of just this tumultuous type of situations that happened in all of 2019 that kind of made me realize that, number one, I was hurting and I didn't know. I didn't know how to address my own mental health issues, and I deal with this for the past 12 years. I didn't know how to seek mental health treatment, and that's sad in itself that I do this. And I was embarrassed to kind of make it happen. And then with my wife, I finally convinced her to go seek some mental health treatment, and I realized how nervous and how overwhelming it was to kind of walk through those doors. Number one, to find a therapist, and number two, to take that step to kind of walk through, and then number three, to invest her money into that. So. And I just saw all the scared and the fears that kind of came with that. She went one time and didn't like it. So it kind of got to the point that how can we fix this? What is the gap? I'm missing something from our own things we're kind of going through. And then in the background, I didn't realize I was inadvertently going through therapy that was disguised as my LCSW supervision that I have to meet weekly as I'm working towards my LCSW. My clinical supervisor has kind of met with me weekly, and in late December, she was like, "Hey, Dan, your test is coming up in 2020 in September. It's time for us to kind of work on these test questions." I'm like, "What are you talking about? We've been doing it." She was like, "No." She said, "This past year and a half, you've kind of been unloading and talking about kind of some of the things that you struggle with." So it was just that moment like, wow, I didn't realize how great it was. But throughout the year, I realized when I missed a week with her, my life was in shambles. I couldn't wait to get back to talk to her. So again, they created this idea of who helps the helper. Who can we lean on? Who can we kind of go to in this time of crisis? So I realized the importance of her. And like I said, fast forward now, 2020, the year of assignment. And no matter how tragic, and we wish we could change everything that happened in 2019, we remain thankful. We remained diligent in what we plan to do moving forward. So Good Counsel was created, and our goal is to help the helpers and help the community and help so many people avoid that time period as we go through life, because life gonna continue to happen.
Right.
As we can see now, life gonna keep going, but it's how can we kind of connect and be interactive with the people we need to.
Yeah, one thing I wrote down: be better than you were the day before.
Man.
So that's what I'm living off of. That's my motto. But I got a question for you. Me and you were both raised in the church. Done a lot of good things together, done a lot of bad things together.
Yeah, all your fault.
But what do you say to those believers who, those old school believers? I call them old school because the millennials, they kind of on this new wave, right? Yeah. Just trying to still figure out things. But those old believers, we call them the old school believers. Traditional. I don't need mental health. All I need to do is pray and seek God, which is true, right? That's the first thing we do. Matthew talks about seek ye first the kingdom of God, right? And all these things righteous is following to you. So, so after we seek God first, right? And what do you say to those believers who say, or whatever, whoever believes in God, other religions that say, hey, you know what, I'm just gonna pray to God. What do you say to those who say I don't need to talk to anybody about my problems, I'm just going to talk to God?
Yeah. So you brought up some scripture, and so often, which is great, we rely on that scripture, but at the same time, those traditional believers are missing some of the main points that the Bible kind of speaks out. If you look at Proverbs 15:22, it says, "Without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, they succeed." So even with that, God provided us with the proverb of surrounding yourself with good counsel, surrounding yourself with those who have your best intentions in mind, is what He sent them here for. So if we're going to believe on one end that we don't need counsel, we don't need these professionals to kind of make it through this, then we should also be on the other end. If you take that same mentality, it should be with doctors. Because if I don't need a doctor. I don't need this professional. If I get sick, if I break my arm, if I do these things, then I don't need to go to a doctor. So we need to realize that the brain and our mental health is another muscle, is another part of the body that was created for it to be well also. So us as counselors and therapists, we were sent as those people to kind of help that to heal. And without that healing, how can you really take on all of the blessings and all of the love of God and all of the favor that He wants to pour onto you? Because our brain is so full of all of these things that we've gone through. God didn't say we weren't going to go through things. He didn't say that this thing was going to be easy, but as we go through things, He needs us to let those things go so we can pour a new blessing and pour new things into us. But so often, week to week, we show up to church, we do our normal routine, we're there every Sunday, and the preacher is preaching himself into a sweat, giving all of these things, but then throughout the week we struggle, and then we come back to be filled again. When in reality, we should be able to receive the word, grow on it, and if we aren't able to receive it and we see that disconnect, we aren't able to kind of move through what we need to move through from what the preacher says, then that's a sign that we need to seek some professional help so we can get out all of that nonsense and all of that mess from our thought process and clear our minds, so when we come back the following Sunday, we can truly receive what God has for us. And if we're not walking in everything that God has for us, then we're not living His will for our lives. Right. We're kind of living in the past. If we're not loving what we do that God called us to, then we're kind of stuck in the middle. That I like to call it.
Yeah, do what you love what you do. That's the name of the show. I'm just blessed, man, to be able to still be a teacher, still do my entrepreneurship thing.
Most definitely.
And the day I stopped not wanting to going to work, the day I let it go. But I'm loving every moment of it. But unfortunately, I can't go to work for the next. Who knows? I don't know when this podcast is going to air. Yeah, 4 weeks. I don't know when this podcast is actually going to air. We still might not be in school, but so me and you, we really get the best of both worlds. Yeah. Because now we really get to try this entrepreneurship thing out, Brooks, without you really having to clock in for a job. What is your daily schedule like, ET Junior? You
That's
know,
it. That's it. That's it. So you're trying to keep it um, as structured as possible, because that's the thing that I realized as becoming an entrepreneur. I actually, what's crazy is I actually had already took off last week in preparation for everything that I had going on. So I wanted to kind of practice this life of entrepreneur, and I loved it. I loved being able to kind of go and kind of set my day and kind of set up meetings and kind of go from there. So this week I was trying to keep it as structured as possible. I'm trying to still work on my body, work on my mind, work on my spiritual side every morning. I'm always filling myself up as much as I can to start the day, and also pushing myself with something physical every morning. And then from there, I still have some tasks from my day-to-day job I still need to do. But then after that, I just want to create, and I just want to kind of receive all that God kind of has from me throughout that day, and kind of setting those daily tasks and daily goals to make sure I'm at least hitting 90% of those each day. And again, it's easier said than done. This thing isn't easy. It's not, it's not as cookie cutter as everybody makes it out to seem, but it's definitely something that I get like a kind of practice run now with everything kind of going on in the world. And with me leaving work, it wasn't so much for me that I disliked what I was doing, but more so I knew there was more I could be doing. So what I was doing, as a social worker and as working in the school system, I loved it. But I knew there was another way I could impact, and I knew that there was something else that the world needed from me. So it was more so out of a necessity that I was good at my job. I loved my job, but at the same time, what else can I give? What else can I provide? What else can I kind of give? So that's kind of where that came from. So I kind of use that mentality day to day. We're gonna see how this thing goes. Check in with me, a week and a half from now after I've been in the house, and kind of see where that energy is at. But just trying to keep that energy and kind of keep that going every day.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's crazy, man. I would never think we wake up a day and we couldn't turn on and watch some NBA or watch the games on the West Coast, watch some highlights. So it's a different day and time, man. But hey, man, listen, I'm very, very proud of you. Keep up the good work. Grind it out, brother. Grind it out. Hey, I forgot to ask you. So, I've been through this too. When I first started one of my first events, I was like, I'm gonna have it. I was flew in Texas. I sent out all these invites, everything. I bought all this food. I had speakers come in, and the only people that showed up was my mother, my wife. Joy was a baby. I had like maybe 10 people come. And I made $20. 10 people paid for it. Everybody else was free. So your first event got canceled. You got canceled. You spent money on flyers, banners. You had sponsorship money. What's next? That was out of your control. So how did you mentally, as a mindset, as an entrepreneur, things like that are going to happen, right? I can tell you another story. When I started my tournament business, I had like all these teams sign up, and I was dependent on somebody else and going through trying to take the shortcuts. And we get to the gym, ain't nobody there to open the gym. I got teams waiting at a gym, Brooks.
Wow.
And it was so embarrassing, dog. I wanted to quit.
Wow.
Like, dude was like, when he's like, yeah, I got the gym all week. We get there, gym not open. Right? Gym not open. And so I had to refund all these teams back their money. And I had to do it recently with the corona. And I had an event scheduled, one of our biggest events. I had to refund teams money. So I went through it before. You just had your first go around. I guarantee you this will not be the first time you have to cancel an event or worry about 10 people showing up to an event. But you think 1,000 people gonna show up too.
Yeah. It's I ain't gonna lie to you, I took my day. I took a couple days and I did soak. I did kind of almost allow that doubt and that uncertainty to kind of seep in. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I needed that moment to kind of be there, but then I realized and I kind of went back to why all of this started. Something that I've been doing is I've been journaling and I've been keeping up with the progression, because I knew the wave or the roller coaster of this life is going to hit. So I went back and reading some of the stuff that when I was on my highs, and I realized that the opposite of faith isn't doubt. The opposite of faith is knowing it all. So this is just another opportunity for my faith to kind of rise to the top. And even in this time of doubt and uncertainty, I realize that I'm getting stretched and I'm being vulnerable and I'm getting uncomfortable in these moments. And I kind of realized that this is a part of it. You know, as the great Nipsey Hussle always said, you know, the only difference is that I didn't quit. And that's my goal and that's my end. And that's, you know, kind of how I commend you from kind of making it through so much as you kind of survived, is that you just didn't quit. Because, you know, the moment you quit is the moment it'll never happen. So, you know, yeah, my first big event has been canceled, but now one of my mentors, she sent me just an email and she asked a simple question. She said, "What's your pivot?" And going back to kind of sports, she said, "How are you going to pivot?" And that just, you know, shattered my brain and my mentality and kind of opened my mind even more. I remember my pastor, he had preached, you know, a few years ago about the pivot and about the crossover and about the opportunity to, you know, you have this plan in mind, but then something steps into your way. Either you're going to stop or you're going to cross over. So now I'm just kind of taking that opportunity and seeing this moment as, you know, what's the crossover? What's the pivot? What direction am I going to kind of change? Because in every obstacle, in every situation, there's a learning, you know, opportunity in it. So I'm just trying to look at this, rebrand, get back settled, you know, settle my emotions and see how I can get back to work, see how I can push the thing back out so it can be bigger and better. I have this innate ability that's kind of been born in me from early on, where I'm crazy optimistic. I have this crazy amount of optimism about everything, and I just see the outcome being great. So it's a gift and a curse, but right now I'm gonna use it and I'm gonna keep on moving forward. I wasn't given this vision because I've already seen it. It's already happened in my head. I've already been there. So now it's just time for me to, am I gonna stop or I'm gonna keep walking toward it?
Yeah, man. I know you're a very optimistic person because every time I see you try to challenge me in some kind of game of basketball, you end up on the losing end, man. So
here we go.
Pretty much undefeated in that area. But hey, we're gonna play this quick game real quick.
Let's go.
I'm gonna give you a word, and you got to give me one word back.
Okay.
All right. Motivation.
Inspiration.
Movie.
TV.
Mentor.
Succeed.
Money.
Freedom.
Family.
Living.
Legacy.
A gift.
Entrepreneurship.
Hustle.
Hey, man, my man, I appreciate it, brother. Hey, looking forward to seeing you grow, man. I see you at the top.
Appreciate you, Mom. Thank you.
Peace.
Peace.